echoes would be awesome. I will sing of my Redeemer and his wondrous love to me. On the cruel cross he suffered from the curse to set me free. Sing, oh sing of my Redeemer. With his blood he purchased me. On the cross he sealed my pardon, paid the debt and made me free. Verse 3, I will praise my dear Redeemer, his triumphant power I'll tell, how from victory he giveth over sin and death and hell. Sing, oh sing of my Redeemer. With his blood he purchased me. On the cross he sealed my pardon, paid the debt and made me free.
Is she in the nursery for a minute? Only able to come to the second service. I hate to stick her over there. What's so funny, MJ? What's funny? Dad say something funny? That is funny, isn't it? It's exceptionally good, isn't it, MJ? Same as the way we lit that basket up yesterday, huh? Now that was funny, right? I'm going to turn to First Timothy chapter 3. First, clear my glasses off here. 2 Timothy chapter 3. This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy. This know also, the last days, these perilous times, look at the condition, the behavior of men. We could say of mankind, lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, then of course blasphemers, etc. 1 Timothy chapter 3, if a man desire the office of a bishop, he desireth a good work. I want to put kind of the philosophy of the last days of the perilous times, but see how that infiltrates the church. I started last Sunday morning and talked about how a United Nations report, the decline of populations reaching the critical point of 55 different nations, unsupportable populations, their workforces, their future, their military, their economy, and not be sustainable with the birth rate, reproduction of those countries. But then I just said that'd be tragic if it'd go with that happening in the world. The different reasons, abortion, different reasons, homosexual movement, different reasons, people delaying getting married for much extended period of time, almost 10 years later than they used to be just a quarter of a century ago. Then the delay of having children, so it'll only be one and not multiple. Just so many, a variety of reasons, big reasons but the idea that we must be in pursuit of children, must be in pursuit of the youth in particular, the lost, pursuit of children, must be concerned that the church doesn't follow the same philosophy as the world in the last days. And that kind of led me into that idea that men become just lovers of their own selves, that hence our only pursuit is ourself and the pleasure of ourself. And then hence not the same mindset as the Lord. Suffer little children to come unto me, and children are an heritage of the Lord, and life is holy and sanctified even from conception. We don't want to follow the philosophy of the world. And talked about how folks get all excited about if they see a deer rub, and they get all excited if they see deer trail, and they'll get all excited if they, if they're going fishing, if they see brush in the water, and then they see what they call bedding. You can see where the fish, boy, they get all excited about that, but they don't get excited about if they see a child, a rub of a trail of children in the church. Crumbs, marks on all. And before long, the church just becomes the declining population of same as the world. Now, I say that, and here I am looking up a handful of folks on a Sunday afternoon service, and I appreciate you all being here. I really do. It helps to have someone to speak to. Amber making an extra effort to come, bringing the children's church. So it's good to have kids. I don't know where the rest of the kids are, or next door, whatever, but the church cannot be infiltrated with the same things of the world. Why would it we decline? Same word. Men lovers of themselves, proud, boasters. The pulpit can become abusive. The pulpit become lifted up with pride, and just again to borrow the phrase, pride's a dangerous thing. Pride's what made an angel a devil. So, using that phrase, I realized the emphasis on pride needs to be understood properly, that's for sure. I spoke about the pulpit being the hypocrisy of the pulpit, a disingenuous, behind-the-mask presentation, not practicing thou that teachest another, thou shalt not steal, dost thou steal, thou teachest another, dost not teach yourself, Romans chapter 2, 21, verse 23, how for pretenses, the Pharisees and scribes made long prayers. False doctrine had something to do with it, the poisoning of the Word of God. That's why I've taken some major doctrines, such as the virgin birth on Wednesday night, such as the promise of the Scriptures, the major tenets, because maybe even the world falls into place. You wouldn't realize this here on Sunday afternoon. There's major denominations that don't believe in the virgin birth? Major denominations. Do you know there's major denominations that don't believe that Jesus is coming again physically? Do you know there's other false denominations that will knock on your door and teach that Jesus came back spiritually in 1844? Or that he came back and again it's just going to be a spiritual return? There's many false teaching. And that, if you think about it, it draws off many from the faith. Well, I come back to this. I'm going to share just but two here that have to do this. If I used pride and false doctrine, the leaven that ferments and poisons the church, that'd be the philosophy also of reaching the lost. How about this one? The church will decline and become just like the world if we become just plain lazy. I know that's not sound like some big doctrinal statement. How about just lazy? I think of the word, if lazy is not a good word, maybe even at least maybe apathetic. It was an old statement, and I even saw it on a bumper sticker, and I can share where, but someone said, two major problems with America's young people is ignorance and apathy. And, and what do you think of that? And the response was, I don't know and I don't care. I don't know and I don't care. Ignorance and apathy. Well, what if those problems infiltrated the church? Proverbs chapter 26, verse 14, you don't need to turn to it, but it's one of those unique wisdom statements from the book of Proverbs, and it has a comparison in it. In verse 14 it says this, "As the door turneth upon his hinge, so doth the slothful man," or the slothful, "upon his bed." And so you know what a door does on a hinge? Flops back and forth. Back and forth, back and forth. So isn't it something? That's what a slothful person is. They're just like a door on a hinge. They just flop back and forth in bed. Well, I use that because we know all this teaching in the book of Proverbs. Go to the ant, thou sluggard. You know, though they be feeble, they're strong and prepared, you know. But go and learn something from the ant. Why? They work. And they work together. And they gather in food. And the future for the little mound or for the little farm, the future is because they work. And if there's anything that caused the church to decline with the same philosophy of the world is less workers. The few are still supporting the more, or more. So we did read the envision of FDR with the fundamental or foundational roots of our healthcare system, as we knew it then, or the Social Security system, was 20 to 22 workers supporting the one with special needs. By the time of Lyndon Johnson's Great Society, it was 7 people working to support one. And do you realize how close we are today that 2 people's working to support one that's not? 2 to 1? That's unsustainable. That's really unsustainable. And so when they talk about the population decline because they can't support the military, population decline because they can't have a workforce to be taxed to support those who aren't working anymore. Now, there's those who've earned it and they put into it and they expect it to be, they hope for it to be there, but guess what? There's so many other things that have been piled in and added to it of people not working for one reason or another. I'm just using an analogy of the world, but if that's in the world, we have a danger not to let that be in church. What do you mean be in church? Should one person be a tither? Should just a minority of people be the tithers and support all the buildings and all the utilities and all the missions? And should and support the preacher's salary, the secretary's salary, the workman's compensation, the Social Security? Should just a handful of people be supporting the work for all of the church? Should just a handful of people be the ones that say, I'm going to go out and pass out tracts. I'm going to go out and invite people to church. I'm going out. Should it be just one person doing it? Should it just be 2 or 3 people doing it? Doing what? Doing all the labor. Should it be one that does all the maintenance? So I say, the danger of the church becoming like the world is, if not laziness, maybe at least apathy. I don't know and I don't care. As long as it's there. I've used the illustration before. I think most folks are generally cordial enough that when you go out to eat with someone, and the check comes, you say, help me, let me take care of that. Another person, no, I'll get it. And no, let me take care of it. No, I got it. Okay. Well, let me at least help with it. Okay. Okay, no, you don't even have to help with it. Someone's just being real friendly. Well, then let me get the tip. Okay, can I get the tip? Yeah, that'd be great. There's that old-fashioned, let me help. Let me carry my fair share of it. And I'll tell you, the church will not continue to grow and have the population of people if people don't say, more people have that old-fashioned ethic. Let me work. Let me help. Let me carry part of the load. Let me be one of those tithers. Let me be one of those maintenance people. Let me be one of those people who invites and brings other people to come. The Lord said, lift up your eyes now unto the harvest. Look unto the harvest, for the fields are already white unto harvest. It's my little experience and little knowledge on farming is when harvest time comes. Well, if I just didn't even say it, harvesting maybe towards the end of the summer for certain crops. If I just went into the first hay cutting, the first cutting, you know, that coming into in June, the spring grass is growing, the fields are growing, and I just know this, someone's going to get a tractor and they're going to put a mower and they're going to get in that field and they're going to chop the hay. Then I know someone's going to get in right away and they're going to come in there and they're going to come in there with a tractor and they're going to come in there with a rake and they're going to flip that hay over so it can get it drying in the sun. Can't put it. I know someone's going to come along. Maybe even they're going to windrow and put those rows together so there's a bigger line for that baler to pick it up. And if it's going to be green chopped and it's going to go directly into the silo or something like that, someone's going to come along and they're going to have that chopper, and behind that chopper they're going to have a big gravity wagon, and they're going to be coming and they're going to be going around that field, and they're going to be chopping it and throwing it in that wagon. Someone else is going to come along with a baler, and if it's going to be the older day square baler, they're going to come along with that baler, and they're going to drive and pick up them windrows, and then there's going to be people behind there standing grabbing them bales and throw them on a baler, and it's going to throw elevator is going to go up and throw it in that wagon. If someone's not up there stacking it, they're going to see others going to be back at the barn and going to have that elevator. They're going to put them hay and they're going to pull up. Someone's going to be driving it back to the barn while the other stuff's still going to the field. Someone's going to pull up and unload it on that elevator, run it up in that hay mow. If it's not going to hay mow, it's going to that green shop. Someone's going to run over. They're going to have a blower running with a tractor, and they're going to pull around with their truck and drop off that axle. They can hook that thing up to that blower and blow it up in that silage. And if everything's working well, there's going to be people in the field, there's going to be people on the rake, there's going to be people on the tractor, there's going to be people on the blower, there's going to be people on that elevator. And I'm going to tell you, the more hands, the better. But if you have one person doing it, there's going to be a lot of wet, damp hay. If the moisture, there's going to be very little being brought in, or it's going to take a long time. And a lot of labor. So if I say, when the Lord said, isn't it something? He said, look on the fields, for they are white already in the harvest. Pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest, that he would give us more helpers. Get us more in the harvest field. And I know this should be a Sunday morning message to everyone. You don't want the church to just not have any children. You want the church population decline. Then you're going to have to get more people to say, I'll help with that field. I'll get out there and in the harvest field. Turn with me to Titus chapter 2. Titus chapter 2. The practice of the church, not the decline is the same as the world, is more laborers. Just before Hebrews, look at verse number 10. Not purloining, but showing all good fidelity, that they may adorn the doctrine of God, our Savior, in all things. Exhort servants. That's verse 9. To be obedient to their own masters. Not purloining. I looked that up. I don't know but one other place where there's a root of the same word. The word purloining, I know the simple definition is pursuit of luxurious or the licentious. The word simply means to steal, to carry away, to take for oneself, to appropriate wrongly, a breach of trust. So I want to not use that simple definition first. To carry away, to take for oneself, to appropriate wrongly. So there's a fellow on the job and he said, well, the company's got plenty of supplies here. I think I'll take this extra material home. Without permission. Grant, sometimes folks are, I think I'll just take some of this home. Well, they got a big supply room of pencils and staplers and paper. I'll just take some of this home. Oh, they got plenty of this, they got plenty of that, and I could use that wood and make me some posts. Now, like I say, without permission, without asking, without the company saying, we're getting rid of this, employees taking it home. This is just someone saying, I'm going to take the supplies home with me. Do you know how often that happens? There's whole economic reports on it. Office, where offices have to write in X amount extra because they know it just disappears. And everywhere, what he said to servants, you can't be thieves. You can't walk off with your master's goods. Isn't that something that would be in here? Not purloining. Because talk about a danger about stealing. Catch this now. I'm going a little deeper than you probably thought I would, but I'm going to say this. The danger, the draw to the old human flesh to be a thief, to take something that doesn't belong. Do you know what Judas was? Judas Iscariot? You realize he betrayed the Lord Jesus Christ. It says in John chapter 12, verse 4, he said, why was not this sold and given to the, for the poor? Not that he cared for the poor, but because he was a thief and he held the bag. When Judas saw that great sacrifice that woman gave of a year's wages of the alabaster box put on Jesus, oh, the pretentiousness. See, pretentiousness. He's in the pulpit. Why wasn't this sold and given to the poor? In his heart, boy, I would have liked to have had that in my treasury bag. The thought was, Judas obviously, not that he cared, he was a thief. Judas was taken out of the bag. He was the thief. And then it's something, that same greed and that same stealing would make him sell the Lord for 30 pieces of silver. Why? Because he's a thief. Doesn't that hurt the ministry? What'd you think when the televangelists were caught embezzling tens of millions of dollars from people, buying into the show? What did you think? Them thieves? So look what that did for the cause of Christ, right? So guess what? David. What do you think when you hear about the story of David? David, I got to abbreviate. David was a thief. He stole another man's wife. How'd that go for the cause of Christ, for the cause of God's name and glory? When your king is a thief and is willing to steal another man's life and commit such a heinous crime as having a commanding general lose his life on the battlefield, that's some thief. That doesn't go too well for the cause of God's. Eli's sons, it's 1 Samuel 2, verse 12 through 16. And people abhorred the offering of God. Why did the people abhor the offering of God? I would figure bringing an offering to God would be a blessing. I want kids to think going to church is a blessing. I want kids thinking, man, I was able to give the offering today. I would like for folks to think that's a blessing. Why did men abhor the offering of God? Same passage says why. Because Eli's sons were stealing their offerings. And they were taking the best for themselves. And when not only that, and it says, and they made themselves immoral at the house of God. Not only they were immoral, but they were thieves. How's that go? People didn't even want to go to give their offerings at the tabernacle. It would be at the time Eli's ministering. Why would they not want to go? They knew the offerings were being stolen. And the best that they'd brought, they saw some gluttonous sons of the priest eating it and taking it and let it on to others. So I say this, you want to see a church decline? Catch us now. What? Almost, can I say it different? What? Would a man rob God? Wherein have we robbed thee? First of all, let's ask it just like Malachi 3:10 says. What? Would a man rob God? No. Perish the thought, right? There is no way. There is no way. About like this. About like me sitting down by Brother Wayne. Wayne stands up and his wallet accidentally falls out of his pocket. We all know Wayne very well. How high respect. His wallet falls out of his pocket. And I've just been sitting there talking with Wayne. I see that wallet sitting on the pew, so I reach over and open it up. And I just take one of those $400 or $500 bills Wayne has in his wallet. But no, I just reach in there and I just take the cash out and I stick it in my pocket. I put Wayne's wallet back down. And you go, what? Would Brother Rick rob Brother Wayne? What do y'all think? Well, you fool. What are you thinking? That's one of the meanest things you could possibly do. And why would you even do something like that? What? Would a man rob God? Wherein have we robbed thee? Go ahead and say it. In tithes and offerings. And could you believe that you want to see a church decline? Don't have enough offerings to send kids to camp anymore. Don't support whatever. Don't send them to camp out to the. Don't. He said, well, that was $380 to send them to the Pipestem Park for 2 nights. Yeah, $380. Was it worth it? You know it was worth it. But just don't give tithes and offerings anymore, so there'll be no vans. And then don't have any laborers to go run them and pick up any money anyways. It's not, isn't that something? And you servants, not purloining. Don't walk off with what belongs to your master. Isn't that something? And I see how all this ties in as addressed in the church. If a man desire offer it, from the pulpit to the pew, we can't be filled with pride, can't have hypocrisy, we can't be lazy, and we can't be a thief. Let's close with a word of prayer. Got to get back to work. Lord, thank you for the opportunity in your house. Depth of these scriptures. May it be a chapter.